Adaptations in the Wide World of Frogs, Lesson 6. Learning targets. I can fluently read a poem aloud. I can refer explicitly to the text when answering questions about the text. I can write the end of a porpoise tale that provides a solution to the problem and explains the message or purpose of the narrative. What do we mean by the solution to a problem? Right, how the problem gets solved. What is the purpose of our narratives? Yeah, to answer a why question. The glass frog. Upon a tree, it's hard to see which part is leaf and which part is me. Which part is me and which part is leaf? I've lost myself again. Good grief! Okay, read this aloud with me. Now take turns reading it aloud to a partner. Upon a tree, it's hard to see which part is leaf and which part is me. What is the meaning of this stanza? Yeah, it's hard for this frog to understand where the leaf starts and where where the leaf ends and where he begins. So, how does an author engage the reader in a narrative? How do experts build knowledge and share expertise about a topic? And how do frogs survive? Those are our guiding questions throughout this lesson. Upon a tree. What does the narrator observe about being in a tree? Yeah, the frog is in a tree. Who has difficulty seeing? Right, the glass frog. Which part is leaf? Why does the narrator use which? Yeah, like this or that. I'm not sure. To show the uncertainty. What is hard for the narrator to see? Again, where the frog ends and the leaf begins, or vice versa. Leaf sounds wrong by itself. Why didn't the author say the leaf or a leaf? Right, to help with the flow and the cadence of the poem. And which is me? What is difficult for the narrator to tell? Right, where, again, the same thing about the frog, where the frog is and where the leaf is. Who is me? Right, the glass frog. Insert the word part into the sentence. How does that sound? Does it change the meaning? All right, so you're going to go in your EL Module 2 workbook, page 20 of the white and purple book, and you're going to go ahead and write, upon a tree, it's hard to see which part is leaf and which is me. Sketch a tree and show where to find the narrator of the poem. Right, the narrator is the glass frog and it's in the tree. Sketch a glass frog on the leaf. So remember, glass frog is kind of see-through, so we want to make it close to the same color. So since we're in a virtual room, we talked about what's hard to see. It's hard to see each other. Sometimes when we keep our screens off, we can't see each other. And sometimes, I guess, it's hard for you to see the screen. Take a look at these pictures of the glass tree frog. Aren't they cool? Why? Why is it the frog called the glass frog? Right, because glasses are usually clear and see-through, and the glass frog is kind of see-through and clear. And why is the glass frog so hard to see? Right, for the same reasons. All right, why the poison dart frog is so colorful. Again, that's pages 12 through 15 in your EL Module 2 workbook, the white and purple one. We will analyze this model over the several lessons to understand what makes it a strong narrative. Let's read it aloud together. Why the poison dart frog is so colorful. Long, long ago, deep in Africa, a boy named Rana lived by himself in a secret magical cave. On the outside, the cave was dull, rocky, and gray, but inside, the walls of the caves were covered with glittering jewels, rubies, diamonds, and sapphires. Rana shared his cave with 3 pet frogs. They were named Drab, Ash, and Gray, and their skin was a dull green gray. Drab was tiny, Ash was tinier, and Little Gray was the tiniest of all. One day, Rana was playing a hunting game with his frog friends. He accidentally knocked over one of the torches that lit up the cave. The torch fell onto the dried grass Rana used for a bed and set it on fire. "Help! Please help me!" Rana screamed. He knew he had to find a way out. He ran for the entrance, but it was in flames. He reached down to pick up Drab, Ash, and Gray, but his little friends hopped away from him. He followed them, but they just hopped more quickly, deeper into the cave. Rana thought, how strange it seems to be getting cooler. Then he saw a giant crack in the cave wall. Rana scooped up the 3 frogs and wriggled through. First, Rana took a deep breath of fresh air. Then he bent down to see if Drab, Ash, and Gray were all right. Rana was amazed. Drab, Ash, and Gray were safe, but they were not dull and green anymore. Drab was ruby red with flecks of gold. Ash was bright sapphire, blue with streaks of black. Gray looked like a shimmering rainbow. The walls of the cave had melted and coated the frogs in brilliant colors. "Now no one will forget your bravery," said Rana, "and to this day the children and grandchildren of those 3 little frogs have beautiful skin the color of gems." All right, this slide we have seen many times. If you want to just pause, you can take a second and reread it. So let's review our class narrative pages on 10 through 11 in our EL Module 2. Look over the situation and character pages and the problem and response pages we've done. So you should have already had that recorded in your workbook. Narratives use time words and phrases to show when the events are happening. Dialogue is also used to help the reader understand the events. Can I get a ride to work? I got towed. Be sure. Sure, but where's your car? So that is the example of where you were looking for our class narrative. It looked like that and we had filled it out. All right, look at the solution and point pages on page 5. And while I'm reading it again, I want you to think, what is the problem in the story? What words did the author use to show the order of events? What is the character doing, thinking, feeling, or saying? And how is the problem solved? Rana thought, how strange. It seems to be getting cooler. Then he saw a giant crack in the cave wall. Rana scooped up the 3 frogs and wriggled through. First, Rana took a deep breath of fresh air. Then he bent down to see if Drab, Ash, and Gray were all right. Rana was amazed. Oh, sorry, that was page 6. Okay, now I'm going to read page 6 and think about what is the character doing, thinking, feeling, or saying, and how is the problem resolved. Rana was amazed. Drab, Ash, and Gray were safe, but they were not dull and green anymore. Drab was ruby red with flecks of gold. Ash was bright sapphire blue with streaks of black. Gray looked like shimmering rainbow. The walls of the cave had melted and coated the frogs in brilliant colors. So right, between 5 and 6, the characters, first he was finding a way out of the cave. He was following the frogs, right? And then he found, when they got out of the caves, he saw his frogs had changed color. So that's kind of what was going on pages 5 and 6. So what is the message or purpose of our narrative? Let's read it, page 7. "Now, no one will ever forget your bravery," said Rana, "and to this day, the children and grandchildren of those 3 little frogs have beautiful skin the color of gems." So because of Drab, Ash, and Gray's bravery, their children and grandchildren will always have beautiful skin the color of gems in the cave. The purpose is to explain why some frogs are colorful. All right. Drafting the end of our class pourquoi tale. All right, so I'll go back and let's look at these questions and then we'll think. What is the problem in the story? Right, our story is a little different maybe from Mrs. Schindler's class, but ours is little Ellie wants to swim in a race, but she's not a fast swimmer. Okay, and our point of our narratives is to talk about if you work hard, you can achieve great things. All right, so let's go look at that. So, in class, this is what we wrote. Little Ellie trains every day with Coach Bob. She becomes stronger and faster each day. Finally, the race arrives. Little Ellie gets ready to swim with all the other pollywogs. The announcer says, "Ready, set, go." All the pollywogs take off. Little Ellie swims her hardest. She passes all the other pollywogs and wins the race. And let me add that R. All right, so now let's come back to our PowerPoint. Now our exit ticket. I will read it aloud for you, and then you are going to finish your work and submit it in Seesaw. A student has written the ending of a Pourquoi tale about frogs that answers the question, why are poison dart frogs so colorful? Read this question from the narrative and answer the question that follows. How strange, it seems to be getting cooler, Rana thought. First, Rana took a deep breath of fresh air. Then he bent down to see if Drab, Ash, and Gray were all right. Rana was amazed. Drab, Ash, and Gray were safe, but they were not dull and green anymore. Drab was ruby red with flecks of gold. Ash was bright sapphire blue with streaks of black. Gray looked like a shimmering rainbow. The walls of the cave had melted and coated the frogs in brilliant colors. 2. The students need to fix the ending by explaining how the problem is solved. Which sentence would best fit this paragraph? But his little friends hopped away from him. He followed them, but they just hopped more quickly, deeper and deeper into the cave. B. He saw a giant crack in the cave wall. Rana scooped up 3 frogs and wriggled through. C. Now, no one will forget your bravery, said Rana. And to this day, the children and grandchildren of those 3 little frogs have beautiful skin the color of gems. Don't forget to submit this into